Well, this bit is going to be slightly different from anything that you've may have experienced here before. Yeah, I'll pop that on there. That's really kind. Thanks, Mark. Amazingly helpful. Brilliant. So I have my wonderful brothers here. Now, look, it's just, I really want to echo something that that Chris said when he started off, whilst these guys just get comfy, shouldering as they are. And that is that something I learned when I was on a mission trip and I was a younger man. I traveled to Africa a number of times. And one thing that came across was their sense of community and their sense of the importance of family. And I know that there are men here that are biological fathers, and I know that there are men here that have no kids. And there are some that are unmarried. And what I just want to say is this church regards every man as someone who is important to the raising of the children in this church. And what I heard when I was in Africa was that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village. It's a corporate effort. And I certainly feel that I want the input from every man in this church in my son's life. I want him to see that it's not just me that has to be his example, but there is the example of many godly men in this church, and I want them to sow into him. So please, sow into my boy's life whenever you get an opportunity. And I'm sure these guys would say the same of their own. So I have invited some of Kingsway's finest to join us here this morning. It was a really difficult selection process, but we managed to narrow it down in the end, and after sort of a great struggle. So what I want to do is kick off this morning by discussing a less well-known fact that you may or may not know about any one of these guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 facts, one after another, up on the screen, and they relate to each one of them relates to one of the guys on here. And see if you can figure them out as we do so. So fact number 1. So this person, my first job at 16 was a cobble boatman's assistant. I can mend nets and make crab pots from scratch. Whoa, what a dude. You know, I mean, like, he can make crab pots. I love crab. It's one of my favorite things, actually, I have to say. So, who knows who that one was. Let's have fact number 2. Okay, here's one. I love this one. My party trick was to insert a 50p piece up my nostril. Who knows who that was? Okay, and fact number 3. I once had to stand in for Enrique Iglesias at a sound check when he was unwell. Who knew? Certainly wasn't me. Okay, so would you like to have a guess as to who's who? So if we just put the 3 facts up on screen. So fact number 1, the boatman story. Fact number 2, the coin up the nose. And fact number 3, singing for a superstar. So who do we think was fact number 1? Just a show of hands. Do we any ideas who it might be? Just shout it out. Gary. Oh, that's quite unanimous. That's so everyone. There's quite a lot of people seem to think that number 1 was Paul. Yeah. Okay. So no. So maybe we could move in order on the sofa. So Paul, you want to sit where Adam is, and Adam, just slide up for 1 second. We can move around again in a minute if you feel more comfy that way. Okay, fact number 2. Let's see if we can. Who's the 50p up the nose man? Oh, it's got to be all day, isn't it? It's got to be all day. So that kind of gives it away, doesn't it? So any idea who fact number 3 might be? It's Gary. Oh, fantastic. So you happy in that order? Yeah? You're good with that? Good. Okay, fab. Let's move on swiftly, right? Okay, so I've got a few questions I want to ask these guys. Whilst they're here, I want to try and grab some gems from them. A little bit more serious, this bit now. I just want to just really ask you generally, guys, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing fathers today? Feel free to jump in and pass the mic around a bit. There you go. Looks like it's you.
I think one of them's got to be social media
and
how to navigate it. I'm still learning, and Ethan's 16, and he's not here, so it's okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I think.
I love you, Ethan. So I'm still learning that, but I don't think the answer is completely block it and ban it. I think you've got to work with your children and young adults with it, and try and keep the lines of communication open. I think that's the key thing for me when you're working through it. But yeah, social media, big challenge.
I think in our house, the biggest issue is feeding my kids. Because you don't want to see our Tesco bill every week. It's a nightmare. But no, our biggest challenge, I would say one of the biggest challenges for our generation of parents is just the fact that kids are being forced to grow up so quick these days. They're learning about stuff at the age of 11 that I didn't learn until I was about 20, 21. And they haven't necessarily got that kind of maturity to deal with it properly. So I think as parents, the challenge is to have discussions with them about these subjects, because you can't ignore them. Like Gary was saying, you can't ignore social media. So these subjects are going to come up, particularly at secondary school. So it's to have those discussions in such a way that we're trying to do it from a Christian perspective. We're trying to get Jesus' heart on it. But it is really difficult because a lot of these subjects, it's not clear black and white in the Bible. So we're trying to just get the heart of Jesus, discuss things with the kids, and also remind them that they are kids. You know, we spent Friday afternoon on a massive piece of tarpaulin playing crab football with the sprinkler on us. So, you know, it's just having fun with your kids as well as the wisdom bit.
Why wasn't I invited?
Your knees wouldn't have taken it, to be honest, mate.
Paul?
Well, being the oldest one here, because I've been a father for sort of 40 years now.
There was social media back then, wasn't there?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't computers back then. Certainly wasn't a mobile phone. So, I've seen the world change, immensely. And the world we live in now is a far more inclusive world, which is absolutely fantastic. Everybody's getting, has got a role to play. And I think that for me, the biggest challenge I see for fathers is for them to find their place in the family, in the church, and be the person that they are, just give into the family, into the church, and to find that position and place for themselves there. It's too easy to just resort back to state and I'm just not that you're just a breadwinner or just the fixer of things. Absolutely. But you've really got to work hard to play into people's lives and to make a difference.
So, social media, big challenge. Have any of you got any examples of how social media has impacted on you directly or your family directly that you would want to share, and just sort of a bit of anything around that? I know that's a tough question.
I think the key is you've got to stay up to date with it because it changes so fast.
Good point.
Like, if you're on Facebook, there's no point in being on Facebook for kids because they don't do Facebook.
No.
Facebook's for old people.
That's old.
So Facebook's old. Instagram is starting to go that way. It's getting old or older. Snapchat seems to be the one at the moment. I think I'm right, kids, aren't I? Yeah. So what we try and do is we've got accounts, or more to the point, Deb's got accounts because she's the far more responsible parent. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm the fun dad.
50 pence up the nose all day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not on social media, and it's never going on social media,
really?
By the way.
Okay.
No. But I think you've got to try and keep up to date with it, really, and just engage with your kids. We have a rule in our house that we have access to their phone until the age of 18. So the kids are aware of this, and we will occasionally go through it.
Sensible.
Noah's an absolute nightmare, you can imagine. Possibly the world's most sensible 16-year-old. But yeah, Elijah we have to spend a little bit more time with.
I've got too many, and I can't share any of them.
No, I know.
Really.
Some of them are probably going to be tricky.
It's real challenges because it's just very difficult to navigate. I think it's, and I think that's brilliant, having your kids' phones and checking them. But I don't want to do that really either. Not really. My heart is, you just want to trust them, don't you? But unfortunately, I think you have to do these things nowadays. You have to safeguard and you have to check. I think it's important. And I'll answer it a little bit better with one of your other questions, I think.
Okay.
You're giving it to me?
Yeah.
What's social media?
Yeah, it's that thing on the little boxes you hold in your hand.
Listen, the only thing I do is LinkedIn, which is of course a business one anyway. So I've just no experience of it whatsoever. But what I would say is, maybe coming back to one of the biggest challenges, you can't put your head in the sand, that's for sure.
No.
You know, you've got to face these things head on and deal with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's life. You know, you and for sure, I see the damage that's done out there, and that just makes me shy off even more.
Yeah.
You know,
And being a prominent member of the church also, you might well come across a youngster here who is having a crisis as a result of something that
Yeah.
is happening on their phone whilst they're in this building. And, you know,
Yeah.
we as parents, fathers, men, women of this church, we need to be aware of that from safeguarding side
do,
of things.
absolutely
And
do, yeah.
we need to have that little extra sense just to keep an eye on this sort of thing. Yeah. So gentlemen, there is a wealth of knowledge of family life across this sofa. I mean, I feel almost like, you know, an amateur in comparison. Right. I only have one. And, you know, I cannot imagine what it would be like multiplying that. So for anyone who's listening to this, either online or whatever, what would you like to share as a pearl of wisdom from fatherhood? It doesn't have to be super deep. It can be whatever you just want to share.
pearl of wisdom. Well, you've just not got to give up. You've just got to, at every stage in their lives, just try and be part of their life.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'm talking with grandkids now as well, and we've had the utter pleasure of having a really in-depth, you know, role within two of our grandkids particularly, but the other three, you know, as well. And we've been able to, you know, really feed into their lives, and that has been an absolute pleasure, and still are, you know, to this day. And it's great to be able to giving that input in there and see them grow. And of course, we want to see them, you know the Lord and Saviour as their, you know, as their personal Saviour. And that's you can't ignore that. You've got to just keep playing in, not give up, just keep chiseling away.
Are we recording this?
It is, but we can control.
No, that's all right, because it's about the only one time in my life I'm going to go deep. So Adam Chamberlain is about to go deep, warning. For anyone who knows me, that's a bit weird. We were having a fire on Saturday night celebrating Noah's end of exams. Woo!
Yeah.
Finished the GCSEs. Yes, and Ethan. And we were having a fire in the back garden because that's Noah's favourite thing to do. And we're sitting around chatting. And we obviously play a lot of music around the fire and stuff. And I played them the song Cats in the Cradle by Cat Stevens.
Yep.
Yusuf now, but Cat Stevens. But I did...
I don't know, sing it.
No, I think you'd be better.
I think we've got a guitar here, actually. No, sorry.
Yeah.
So carry on.
It was the Ugly Kid Joe version because I was 90s kid, really. But the premise of that song is basically, it's really quite a sad song when you listen to it. It's about a father who hasn't got time for his kids, who grows up and the kid wants to spend time with his dad, but dad hasn't got time because he's too busy for work. And then dad gets old and retires, but what's happened, his son's done the same thing, and his son now hasn't got time for him. And I think that for me is the big key. It's time. Time is the most valuable thing that we've got in this life, as far as I'm concerned. And for me, I would much rather be driving a Skoda than a Ferrari if it means I've got more time with my kids.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I think the key for me is you've got to give time to your kids. I know some jobs it's difficult. I'm in a fortunate position of being my own boss, so I can kind of call my own shots. But I'm happy in a semi-detached house with a Skoda if I've got time with my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. That's what it's all about.
So, pearl of wisdom. This might be contentious. I would say consistency. Your yes be yes, your no be no. But don't be stubborn. So I've learned this over the years. If you realise you were wrong, say you were wrong. Change it. Don't stick with the yes and the no. If you were wrong, or if you get new information that comes and changes what the situation was, be a father enough to change your mind, admit you were wrong, and move forward. Don't be stubborn.
So important.
Because I've been
Yeah,
stubborn, and it
100%.
doesn't help.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, there's been times with Harry when I've absolutely laid down the law in a certain situation, found out different facts around the circumstances that I was getting upset about, and have had to say, okay, I was too harsh with you on that, and I'm gonna pull back from that. I'm sorry about that. And to hear a dad say sorry is just a perfect model to a child, because they've got to learn to say sorry.
And don't tell Ethan this, but I reckon I've been wrong at least 50% of the time.
There's an honest man. There's an honest man. Okay, we're running low on time. So I just wanted to ask you like a question to finish off, really. And this is again to the three of you. So the mic has moved back to Paul, and it's basically along the lines of we're in a church community here, and we support each other. At least we're supposed to support each other. How would you suggest, or how would you say that the church community can best support men and fathers?
It's by knowing each other, because each of us has experienced, various things. And you know what hit me 6 years ago, when I lost my job, and Helen became seriously ill at that exact same moment in time. And then lo and behold, about a year later, Mark got clobbered in the same way in terms of work, and he reached out to me because he knew I'd been through it before, and we spent hours walking and talking, and just helping each other through it. So knowing each other as a church, and as we grow as a church, keeping that is absolutely critical, so that we can then just draw on each other's experience to help each other through those.
Knowing each other, brilliant, Paul. Yeah, thank you.
I think for me as well, it goes on from what Paul was saying, really. It's knowing each other. It's listening to guys that have been there, seen it and done it. And I never want to get to a point in life where I'm too arrogant to take advice, but good advice, that's the key. I'm very fortunate, I'm very blessed in the fact that my own father was obviously fantastic. My father-in-law's a great man as well. So I've had fantastic examples in my life of how to be a good dad. But I'm just conscious that some people may not have had that experience in life, and it might be more difficult. So I think the good thing is getting yourself with people who are that little bit older than you, a bit more experienced, that you can go to and ask for wisdom. And then it's good to have guys who are a bit younger than you, or that you can impart your bit of wisdom as well. So it follows on from Paul, really.
Yeah. Iron sharpening iron.
Mine's similar on the back of those two, really. I suppose it's fostering the environment where men can come and speak to other men, and those relationships, because those relationships will happen organically, and that's the best way. But there'll be loads of people in here that might not have those organic relationships. So it's knowing they're coming to a church where they can just come up to another guy and ask them a question and speak to them.
The men's breakfasts and things like that.
And maybe something different in the future as well, or in addition to that.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, it's fostering that environment where we're not men and we keep it all to ourselves, which is so 1970s. But yeah, the environment's there that they can come and talk.
Yeah, indeed. Guys, I think you'll agree with me. These guys have been fantastic, and they've been really honest and open and really helpful. I've found it helpful listening to myself. So can we have a massive round of applause, please?